that I think is super profound. And anybody who is interested in how to disarm a narcissist, how to stand up, have a stainless steel spine, anybody who is interested in how do I remove people who have ill intent toward me from my life, how do I move forward? How do I move on from narcissistic relationships? If you are the adult child of a narcissistic parent, you more than likely, dear one, I'm sorry, but you more than likely attract narcissistic people in your life. You may struggle with perfection. In my opinion, perfection comes from never being able to do enough, never being able to do it properly enough. So this idea that we can be perfectionistic goes back to childhood if you're raised by a narcissistic parent. Um, One of the greatest stumbling blocks that you will have that I think will block your transformation is something, if you can wrap your mind around it, it will set you free. And it's this idea that, albeit it's subconscious, children of narcissistic parents, children who have abandonment issues, those of us who are highly sensitive, those of us who we can sense people's wounds and we go right in to fix them. We go right into helping mode. We go right into understanding their pain. Don't realize that we oftentimes completely bypass self preservation. So, self preservation is the ability to stand back and to assess and to discern whether or not this person is trustworthy yet. It's the same reason why we put um, it's the same reason why we put labels outside of zoo exhibits so that we can use critical analysis and use discernment to understand how I should be behaving in the crocodile exhibit. Because you can't touch a crocodile, but you can touch a penguin. So the label outside this zoo exhibit absolutely helps us activate discernment. It activates critical thinking. But those of us with trauma, that thinking has been, I would say, bypassed. It's gone awry. Those of us who are highly sensitive, those of us who can be highly empathetic, if you were to take a personality test and you scored as highly agreeable, someone who tries to see the best in people, someone who is not super reactive, somebody who questions themselves, then you might be somebody who is going to stay in a toxic relationship longer than you should because the natural sense to self preserve has been obliterated. Your ability to self preserve should have happened in childhood when a nurturing mother was making you feel safe or a nurturing father was helping you feel safe. So if in your childhood, I just want to turn off my notifications. So if in your childhood you never felt that, you never felt safe, you never felt seen, then you're not going to have that natural self-preservation. If anything, you might be someone who edits yourself, somebody who stands on a stage, somebody who has been taught that you're just not good enough. You're not good enough. You're just not good enough. Who do you think you are? And so when we hear those messages from childhood, you're not good enough, and who do you think you are? Then that sets us up for seeking approval, for seeking validation. And so I just wanted to, before I have a client this morning, before I start coaching her, I wanted to use this time to help inspire people who follow this work, who are up this early and who are interested in this type of truly transformational self-knowledge. I wanted to inspire you to understand that this will absolutely make a what we're going to do is we might have to mute some people, but if I don't get to do it now, I'll do it later. But what I want to do for those who are sincerely here for the right reasons and they're not trolls, right? Because there are trolls in life. There are these narcissists in life. There are people who scour the internet and rather than look within, they find opportunities to piss in places that they shouldn't. So we do have to deal with trolls from time to time in our life. But We don't have to engage with them or react to them. And so narcissists, if you're thinking about, if you're here for that sincere reason, if you're here to learn about narcissism, what you're really asking is, how can I develop the character to withstand the resistance the narcissistic people in my life bring to my life? And so pain is actually activating a higher desire for you to love yourself more. So when you're in a relationship with someone who's highly narcissistic and they step on your boundaries, or they act like you're irrelevant, or they accuse you of things that you're not guilty of, or they smear your name, or they gang up on you, right? So narcissistic families, they have like a gang mentality. Where's the scapegoat? Who's the most sensitive person in the group? How can we come together narcissistically and operate from dominance and power to obliterate this person? And that's how narcissistic families work. That's how narcissistic businesses work. I've coached people who are managers in companies. It's not much different. It's like anytime that you have like a few people gathered, if there's a narcissist in the group, if there's a mode of narcissism in that group, you're going to see this dynamic unfold. And so what's wrong is not the person who's considerate. What's wrong is not the person who is trying to negotiate. What's wrong is not the person who's trying to inspire the group. What's wrong is that there's someone in the group that can't stand the character and the integrity of the person that doesn't have to wear a mask. And so if you want to know how to survive narcissism, if you want to know how to thrive in the face of narcissism, if you have a narcissistic mother who drives you insane, if you have a narcissistic father, if you have a narcissistic sibling, if you have a narcissistic partner, if you have narcissistic friends, what you want to understand clearly is that if you're not narcissistic, if you don't have narcissistic personality disorder, then you have a chance at doing something they never will. That's your superpower. As a healing codependent, I mean, I was dumbfounded, right? I think dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded when my fifth therapist, I think it was my fifth, could have been my sixth, my fifth or sixth therapist said, you are this way because you're codependent. And I was like, but my ex doesn't drink, or my ex, he was my husband at the time, he doesn't drink and I don't drink. Because throughout nursing school, I was taught that codependency, when I was taking my psych classes, I was taught that codependency was tied to addiction. And he was like, no, you could be addicted to thinking that you need permission to feel what you feel. I was like, really? And yes. And it all goes back to childhood. If you're raised by alcoholics who never got help, then they live through their inner child, their wounded inner child. And they actually raise their children from like fourth grade level. So they can be mean to their children. They can be jealous of their children. They could verbally abuse their children. They could resent their children. You think about somebody who's like 8 or 9 years old. Many of us are raised by 8 and 9-year-olds who were never raised themselves. And we wonder why we become a whole demographic of people. I mean, I'm 60. I coach people who are like, mostly my clients are like from 45 and up to 82 years old right now. And so this is a whole demographic of people who were raised by parents who were about 8 or 9 years old, who taught you or taught me that children should be seen and not heard. That if a child cried, they were looking for attention, and that was a bad thing. So we were raised by behaviorists, 8, 9, 10-year-old children, adult children, who in their head swore that they would do better than their parents, but they're mucking it up. Why? Well, mystically, right? If we're talking mystically, they're living below the veil of consciousness and they don't know it. Neurologically, they're operating from a certain set of neurological blueprints that they've never questioned. Behaviorally, psychologically, they're behaving the way they were taught to behave. And so they're below the veil of consciousness, but they're ignorant. You're ignorant if you don't think about the way that you think. And that ignorance can lead to arrogance. And so narcissists can't escape this. But someone who can escape this, someone who is codependent and led to this, who's got so much pain in their life. It's like Ram Dass says, like death is like living it, being let go of a tight shoe. Well, it's the lobster story too. When a lobster has outgrown its shell, it feels the resistance and the pull and the tightness of that shell. And if it doesn't crack the back of its shell and crawl out and be vulnerable for a little while, it'll die in that shell. So codependency is like the lobster who refuses to leave the shell. We die in that shell. That's what my mother did. She died in that shell. She never escaped that shell, the shell of her childhood programming, the shell that she wasn't good enough, imposter syndrome, seeking my father, who is narcissistic, highly narcissistic, seeking his approval, seeking his validation, feeling not good enough. Her identity was tied to how well he could pat her on the back. And that wasn't often at all, which kept her, in terms of Pavlovian conditioning, it just kept her seeking his approval more and more. So my father would give her a little bit of approval, and that would really intensify her craving of his approval, and then he would pull it back. And when it comes to my dad, I think he knew exactly what he was doing. I think he knew it intensified her craving, which is as scary as you know what, right? But it was what it was. She died she had so much human potential, my mom, but she died that lobster in that tight shell. And I believe that when she transitioned, she actually died on my birthday. How poetic is that? Like, not joking. But I believe that when her soul was released from her body, which was full of all of this programming, somatic memories, stuck psychological beliefs, when she was released from all of this egoic stuff, I believe that's when she reached her potential. She transitioned and she was free. She was out of that shell. But if you want to know what will make a narcissist shake in your presence, it will be what you do in silence. Let me explain. To the person who wakes up early and decides to meditate, to the person who wakes up early and decides to figure out how to live a non-codependent life, to a person who in the middle of the night questions, how can I stop seeking people's permission to be myself? To the person that seeks higher knowledge for how to stop being codependent, to the person who figures out through journaling. My process through all of my classes is meditation. We calm down your mind. We give you the meditations. We put new data into the subconscious mind. We help unknot all of these faulty beliefs. We give you specific journaling prompts that have been specifically crafted to undo the trauma. We have weekly classes where we communicate. We have homework that's experiential. So we control now the narrative that's happening in your mind. And we plant new seeds week after week after week. And within 3 days, we start breaking these patterns and programs. But it's the consistency and the repetition that is key. To the person that's willing to go within, to the person who's willing to say, I don't give a flying piss what my mother thinks about me anymore. I don't give a flying piss what my self-righteous brother thinks about me anymore. I don't give a piss about what my delusional coworker thinks about me anymore. I don't give a piss. To the person who goes within to figure out who they really are, to the person that understands this is the true authority over my life, that I am enough. I'm enough. I don't need anyone's approval. To the person that starts seeking their own inner approval, to the person that starts building up character. You see, character stands the test of time. Charisma will just get you so far. The mask, the grandiosity, the false self, it might get a narcissist's foot in the door. It might get the narcissist 2 or 3 dates. Hell, it might even get a narcissist married. But what will happen over time is that when resistance happens in a marriage or in a relationship, that is when the narcissist will reveal themselves. The non-narcissistic partner will be able to stand the test of time. They will be able to weather the storm and the resistance, and they will see the resistance as a call to arms to fix what's wrong. They will see the resistance as an opportunity to correct the course of the relationship. However, if you are married to or in a difficult relationship, it could be a family member, a sibling, a parent, an uncle, an aunt, a friend, when you sense the resistance and you call it out, which you should, and you see it as an opportunity to clear the air, you see it as an opportunity to be more vulnerable, the narcissist will not see it that way. The narcissist cannot crumble under, the narcissist will crumble under resistance, and they will reveal themselves because you are someone who is working on personal integrity. But you have to be this person. You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. You can't be weak when you go up against the narcissist. You have to know who you really are because they're going to try to tell you who they are. They're going to weaponize validation against you. They're going to suggest that you're not a good person. They're going to suggest that you're crazy. They're going to suggest that you're difficult. They're going to suggest that you're the narcissist. They will question how you raise your children. They will question the role that you have in your church or in your mosque or your synagogue. They are coming for you. They will bring back things from 20 years ago to distract you. They will accuse you of exactly what they're guilty of, which is a lack of integrity. That's what weak people do. Strong people stand in the now, anchored in who I am, I know who I am, and they seek to work things out with someone, even if things are tough, even if the storms are coming. A narcissist will quiver and shake in the presence of someone who knows who they are. And that's why for me and all my clients and those who follow my work, those who opt into my programs, the 12-week breakthrough coaching program, Masterclass and Soul School, this is the journey we are on. We know that in order to become immune to a narcissist, to become immune to manipulation, to become immune to propaganda that exists in the media, to become immune to a false god or a false prophet, we know that we have to heal from within. We know that we have to heal codependency, my dependency upon others for a sense of worthiness. We know that we have to build our own stainless steel spine. We know that nobody else can heal us but us. We know that the problem is in the perception that we have of self that has us fawning after external approval. And when, dear one, that fawning stops, you become unstoppable. The light within you begins to shine, and a narcissist can't stand up against that. They'll try, and how they try is they try to destroy that light. They try to destroy what you believe about yourself. They will insult you. They will gaslight you. They will accuse you of things that you're not guilty of. They will minimize you. They will give you ultimatums. They will question your loyalty. They will try because that's all a narcissist has. But if you stand up to a narcissist in full integrity of who I am, I know who I am. If you don't go back at them, if you don't react to them, if you just pause, you just give yourself a pause. Next time someone insults you, just leave it there. It's like a basketball. Let it hit the ground, or a watermelon even. Just imagine an insult is like a watermelon. It's heavy, it's dense, and when it hits the ground, it's intended to splatter all inside of you. Don't let it happen, because the people that love you don't insult you, even when they're angry at you, because they're they're focused on healing. They're focused on the big picture. Narcissists can't get off the stage of their own grandiosity. They're very reactive. They're very manipulative. They're very grandiose. There's a lot of drama with a narcissist, right? Nobody feels as much as a narcissist. Nobody is as right as much as a narcissist. No one is as smart as a narcissist. No one suffers as much as this narcissist, which is a false premise, but it is the excuse the narcissist uses to not challenge the resistance. And only when you challenge resistance, when you overcome resistance, do you develop character. It's the only way to do it. I knew I wasn't 100% sure that I had to divorce my ex-husband until I started staying in my own being and saying, I think this is broken and we need to work on it. And that challenged him. And that's when I realized that as long as I pretend that everything's okay, I don't see the character flaws in him. As long as I don't challenge the norm, do everything, be everything, anticipate the needs, don't push too far, don't talk about how I feel, don't talk about my wants or my expectations. As long as I didn't rock the boat, I couldn't see all the cracks or the lack of character or his lack of integrity. I couldn't see it. It was when I stood in my power, I finally got the courage, only because I love my kids so much. It was only because I love them so much that I found the ability to say no more. I'm not representing this for my children. I'm not teaching them how to be a people pleaser. I'm not doing it. I have to find the strength to stand in what I know and what I feel and see where this boundary goes. And is that scary? Because the codependent mind wants the familiar, even though it sucks, because the mind is not a voyager. The mind prefers the familiar, even if it's painful, because I know how to operate inside that dynamic. I know how to operate inside that maze. I even know how to play the victim. I even know how to blame everybody because I'm sad. I know how to do that. That's the inner child's coping skill. What I don't know how to do is stand here in how I'm feeling and honor what I believe, honor what I want, and tell you the truth without a mask. What I don't know how to do is stand toe to toe with the narcissist, say, this is what I think, and this is what I feel, and withstand the gaslighting and know that this person is trying to hurt me. That I don't know how to do, but I learned how to do it. And so I had the wherewithal to escape because of the love I have for my children. I was not going to repeat that. I was going to be a cycle breaker. I had that. But you forge character under fire. Diamonds are produced because of pressure. Narcissists are going to avoid the pressure. Somebody with true leadership qualities, somebody who has true character, even if you haven't forged it yet, you know that you have it when you're willing to change, when you're willing to say, this is really hard, but I'm going to speak even though my voice is shaking and my knees are knocking. I'm going to still say what I have to say. And in that, I can be consciously aware that I am breaking the pattern of needing validation from somebody who weaponizes validation against me. So when I do that, in that precise moment of fear, the fire, you have stepped into the fire, but you have to understand you are being forged to steel. You're turning into steel. And a narcissist will always shake and quiver in the presence of somebody who knows who they are, in the presence of someone who has battled codependency and won, which means that you've overcome the wounds of the inner child. You now understand that you're always enough. You have rewired the subconscious mind. You have developed a psychological new schema for the self. The self that you are is no longer dependent on what's happening outside of you. You get it. And deeper, you know how to identify narcissists now, and you know how to not engage with them. Then you get to another journey, another level. It's walking away. It's walking away and letting them walk away, giving them permission to see you the way they see you, giving them permission to not engage in negotiation, giving them permission to see you any way they want to see you. I had a Zoom call last night with my Break the Warrior membership group, and one of my suggestions to one of the members was, if someone's coming at you, it's okay to say, I'm so sorry that you see me that way, or I'm so sorry you feel that way. And her comment was, that sounds passive aggressive. It's not passive aggressive if it's rooted in truth. And you are really upset and saddened that someone that you love and you've tried to reach perceives you through the eyes or the lens of a narcissist. It's okay to be sad that someone that you love doesn't see you the way you are, because their lens and their lens is skewed. It's okay to say that. Gaslighting is when you intentionally try to harm someone for the sake of manipulation, saying, I'm really sorry that that's your belief. I'm really sorry that that's how you see me, is me saying, I give you permission and I let go and I release, but I still choose me. And so I hope that you've been inspired this early morning to understand that you can, narcissists can't forge character because when the wind comes, they blow down. They can't. And that's sad for them, but hopefully in another lifetime or another lifetime, maybe they'll get it. But also, don't ever think that your time with the narcissist has not been for a reason, because the narcissist will never forget the person who tried to love them unconditionally. The narcissist will never forget the person who cared for them, even when they weren't their best selves. The narcissist will never forget the person who forgave and forgave and forgave, but exhausted them to the point where they had to let go just so they didn't crumble within the dynamic. Narcissists will never forget that. But you haven't come to save people, you've come to save yourself. You've come to remember who you really are. And so we have to lay down our swords, we have to lay down our capes as codependents, as wounded inner children, and we really have to work on forging character within. If you develop character, if you develop integrity, narcissists will shake in your presence because you don't need their validation anymore. And narcissists weaponize validation. And so that's why my shtick is I help people who have been born to narcissists, who have been abused by narcissists, address the codependency issue that keeps them stuck. Because narcissism is here and codependency is here, and this is the overlap. So when I work on my codependency, when I stop seeking validation, narcissists can't thrive in my world. Isn't that amazing? To me, it's a way out. So I hope this has inspired you. Thank you so much. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. You help me so much spread this message. Also, like this video, share it with people that you think need to hear this message because it's a universal one. And I don't know anybody who can't relate to this. Like, you are enough and you don't have to prove yourself anymore. You have to go within and you have to forge personal character. And you have to know that people that don't have character are always going to try to tear you down. When my ex-husband reacted the way he did to me when I had needs to work on our marriage, that's when his mask slipped. And he actually pushed me over the line where it was like, that's underneath there. So when I start speaking about how I feel, when I start saying we need to get closer, we need to work on our authenticity and our intimacy, you become O.J. Simpson, you become a silverback gorilla. Oh no, I have to keep moving. And it was the scariest time of my life. But it also, my mess became my mission. And that pain became my purpose. And now I'm helping many, many other people heal from this dynamic. And there is a way out. So if you would like to know how you can join me this July for a live 12-week class, please go to my website at www.lisaaromano.com to learn more. The 12-week Breakthrough Coaching Program goes live in July. If you're new on this journey, I highly recommend The Road Back to Me, which you can find on Amazon and/or Barnes & Noble. It will help initiate your inner child journey. Thank you so much for being here. And again, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Until next time, as I bow to the love and light that is absolutely in you. Bye, babe. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye.